The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the quiet of early morning or the peaceful hush of a Sunday, but the kind that presses against your ears, heavy and wrong. The garage door was already open when I stepped out. A pale slice of sunlight crept over the oil-stained concrete, touching the empty space where my husband's car had always been. For 20 years, that car had been his obsession. A '69 Mustang fastback, metallic blue with a white racing stripe. I could still hear the hum of its rebuilt engine, smell the faint mix of gasoline and old leather that clung to him every time he came in from the garage. It wasn't just a car. It was a monument to his patience, his pride, his father, his life. And now it was gone. At first, my brain refused to register what my eyes were seeing. I blinked once. But the space remained empty. Just a rectangle of dust, a few scattered tools, a lone wrench gleaming like a forgotten relic. I swallowed hard. "Michael!" I called, though I already knew he wouldn't answer. My husband had been gone 6 years now. A heart attack, sudden and merciless. It had taken me 2 years to be able to walk into that garage without crying. To be able to clean around it. But I'd never, ever touched the car. It was his. It was all I had left of him. And now, I stumbled back, gripping the doorframe to steady myself. A voice came from behind me, casual, unbothered. "Oh hey Mom. You saw." Turn. My son Jason stood in the driveway, his hands shoved deep into his hoodie pockets. His tone was so normal, so infuriatingly calm, that my heart lurched. "What do you mean, you saw? Where's your father's car?" He shrugged. "I sold it." For a second I thought I'd misheard him. "What?" "I sold it," he repeated, eyes darting away. "Relax, Mom. It's just a car. Just a car." The words cracked something in me. My voice came out sharper than I intended. "You sold your father's car. The one he spent half his life restoring." He sighed, exasperated, like I was overreacting to a bad haircut. "Yeah, I needed the money. I didn't think you'd mind this much." I took a step toward him. "Didn't think I'd mind." "Jason, that car was old," he interrupted, rubbing the back of his neck. "It was just sitting there, Mom. Nobody was driving it. I found a collector online who offered good money for it." I stared at him. The words felt wrong, too rehearsed. "How much?" He hesitated. "Enough." "Enough for what?" He didn't answer. That silence told me more than I wanted to know. I looked into his eyes, the same hazel shade as his father's, but there was something unfamiliar there now. A flicker of guilt. Or defiance. Maybe both. "Jason," I said softly, forcing my voice to steady. "What did you do?" His jaw clenched. "It's my life, Mom. You wouldn't understand. Try me." He looked at the ground, his sneaker scraping the concrete. "I just needed to pay someone back, all right? Some people I owe money to. It's not a big deal." My stomach tightened. "What people?" He didn't look up. "Jason," I whispered. "Are you in trouble?" "No, I'm not in trouble," he snapped too fast. Look, the car's gone. You can't change that. Can we please not make this a thing?" Not make this a thing. I almost laughed. But the sound caught in my throat and turned into something closer to a sob. "Your father spent every weekend of your childhood working on that car. You helped him sand the body. You handed him tools. Don't you remember that?" His eyes flickered, softening for the briefest moment. "Yeah," he murmured. "I remember." "Then how could you?" He didn't answer. A breeze drifted through the open door, stirring the dust where the Mustang once sat. For the first time in years, the garage smelled hollow. I could see the outline of where the tires had rested, the oil stains dark against the pale floor like bruises that would never fade. Jason turned to leave. "I'll be home later. Don't you walk away from me." My voice rose, trembling. "You tell me who you sold it to. Right now." He froze, then muttered, "It's done, Mom. Just drop it." And then he was gone. The slam of the door reverberated through the house, echoing off the walls like the sound of something breaking inside me. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the empty space in the garage every time I closed my eyes. The way he said I sold it kept looping in my head, flat and emotionless, like a confession without regret. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee gone cold, staring at the old photo that hung on the fridge. Michael and Jason, covered in grease, smiling beside that damn car. It wasn't just about the metal and paint. It was what it stood for. Years of hard work, late nights, a bond between father and son, a piece of our family history, now gone to some stranger. But something about Jason's story didn't sit right. The more I thought about it, the more the details frayed. He'd said a collector online. But Jason barely knew how to sell an old phone, let alone a vintage car. And who were these people he owed money to? My gut twisted. I opened my laptop and started searching through his email, something I hadn't done since he was in high school. I told myself it was just to find the buyer's information, but deep down I was looking for something else. Proof. Reason. Anything that made this betrayal make sense. The inbox was mostly junk. College reminders, game subscriptions, bills. But then I saw a thread labeled Mustang deal confirmed. My pulse quickened as I clicked it open. The buyer's name was Melissa H. The message read, "Can't believe it's finally happening. I told you I'd always love that car as much as he did. I'll have the cash ready tomorrow. Same spot, same time. And Jason, please don't ghost me again." My fingers went cold. Same spot, same time. Don't ghost me again. This wasn't just a sale. I opened the attachment. A photo of the car parked outside a storage unit. Melissa stood beside it. She was smiling. And in her eyes, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Familiarity. She wasn't just anyone. Melissa Henderson. My husband's old secretary. The one who'd shown up at the funeral, crying harder than anyone else in the room. The one I'd always felt uneasy about but had never dared to question. My breath caught as realization began to settle, heavy and sharp. Why would Jason sell that car to her? And why did she say she loved it as much as he did? I scrolled further. Another email, older this time. Jason had written, "I'm not sure about this, Melissa. If Mom finds out, she'll freak. You said Dad wanted you to have it, but she doesn't know anything about that. I just want this done." My vision blurred. The words burned through me. Dad wanted you to have it. Michael. He'd never mentioned that to me. Never. I felt my chest tighten, my breath shallow and fast. What if the car wasn't just a project for him? What if it was a secret, something tied to her? I grabbed my phone and dialed Jason. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Still nothing. Then I saw a text from an unknown number pop up on the screen. "Don't tell your mother. She doesn't need to know everything." My hands began to shake. It was signed H. Melissa. The same woman my husband swore was just a coworker. The same woman who had his car now. The betrayal didn't feel abstract anymore. It was alive, breathing, winding its way through both generations, father and son, bound by lies I'd never seen coming. And for the first time since Michael's death, I realized maybe I'd only ever known half of him. As dawn began to break, I went to the garage again. The air was cold, still carrying the faint echo of his presence. I knelt on the floor, brushing my fingers against the patch of concrete where the tires had rested. That was when I noticed something wedged behind the old tool cabinet, a small, dust-covered envelope. My name was written on it. In Michael's handwriting. My heart hammered as I slid it open. Inside was a single photo. Michael leaning against the Mustang, arm around Melissa. Both smiling. Both wearing matching rings I didn't recognize. And on the back, in his handwriting, "If she ever finds out, tell her the truth. It was always supposed to be hers." My breath hitched. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped it. What truth? Whose car was it really? The phone buzzed again. Another message from Jason. "Mom, please don't go looking for her. You don't know what Dad did. I stared at the words, the world tilting beneath me. And in that dizzy, suffocating silence, I realized, this wasn't just about a car. It was about everything I didn't know. Everything I was never meant to find. I didn't remember walking back inside. All I knew was that I was sitting on the floor of the garage, clutching that photo like it was the only thing tethering me to reality. Michael's arm around Melissa, the matching rings. His handwriting still familiar enough to ache. If she ever finds out, tell her the truth. It was always supposed to be hers. Hers, not mine. I stared at the words until they blurred, trying to understand them, to force them into some shape that made sense. My husband had left me the house, the memories, the grief, but not the car. The car, his prized possession, the thing I'd always believed was a symbol of our marriage, of him, belonged to someone else. I couldn't stay still. My pulse hammered as I grabbed my keys and drove. The morning sun was sharp and cruel when I pulled into the old industrial park across town. The air smelled like rust and dust, like something half forgotten. Unit 14C stood at the end of the row, its metal door rolled halfway up. And there it was, the Mustang. Flawless, polished, whole. Melissa stood beside it, her back to me, long hair tied in a neat bun. She was wearing a pale blue dress that rippled in the breeze. His favorite color. She turned when she heard my footsteps. For a moment she froze. Then her face softened into something like pity. You shouldn't be here, Anna. My name in her mouth felt like a violation. I could say the same to you. She exhaled slowly. I figured Jason told you. Told me. I almost laughed. He told me he sold it. He didn't mention he sold it to you. Melissa looked down, brushing invisible dust off the car's hood. He didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice. My voice trembled. He stole his father's legacy and handed it to his father's mistress. Forgive me if I find that hard to understand. Her eyes flicked up, sharp and wounded. I wasn't his mistress. Then what were you? She hesitated, as if weighing something heavy inside her. Then she said quietly, I was his wife. The words hit me like a blow. What did you just say? She didn't flinch. We were married. Before you. A long time ago. I shook my head. That's not possible. It was annulled, she said. We were both barely 20. It didn't last more than a year. But when he found me again after his father died, it was like the years hadn't passed. He never stopped loving me, Anna. He told me about you, about Jason. I never meant to ruin your life. But he promised me this car. My stomach twisted, nausea rising like a tide. You expect me to believe that? Melissa's voice broke. I have the paperwork. His will, there's an amendment he never filed. It says the car was to go to me. He said it was how he'd make things right. I stepped closer, my voice trembling with disbelief and rage. He lied to both of us. She didn't answer. For a long, unbearable silence, all I could hear was the tick of the cooling engine and the distant hum of traffic. Then she said softly, He came to see me a week before he died. He told me he wanted to tell you everything, but he was scared you'd leave him. I think he was going to. But he didn't get the chance. The ache in my chest deepened into something almost physical. You're lying, I whispered. You have to be. Melissa reached into her bag and handed me a folded letter. He wrote this the night before he died. I never showed it to anyone. I thought maybe one day, if you needed to know. I stared at it for a long moment before taking it. The envelope was yellowed, the seal brittle. My name written across it, Anna. My hands shook as I unfolded it. Anna, if you're reading this, then I've failed to be the man you believed I was. I never told you the full story of the car. I bought it with Melissa years ago before you and I met. We built it together piece by piece, and when we fell apart I kept it. Maybe as a way to hold on to her. Maybe as a way to punish myself. I never meant to bring her back into our lives, but she never really left mine. She knew me before anyone else did. The car was supposed to be hers, always. I couldn't say it out loud, it would have broken you. I'm sorry for every truth I buried to protect you. And I'm sorry that Jason knows more than you do. He found out. He wanted to tell you. I told him not to. Forgive me if you can. Michael. I felt my legs give out. I sank to the ground, clutching the letter against my chest. Jason knew. All those years, all those memories. My son had been carrying the weight of his father's lie. Melissa knelt beside me, her voice gentle. He made Jason promise to give it to me if anything ever happened. Your son was just keeping his word. Tears blurred my vision. He should have told me. He was trying to protect you. I looked at her, hatred and grief tangled so tightly I couldn't separate them. You think that makes it better? No, she said softly. Just truer. I stared at the car. Its polished curves, the gleaming chrome, the reflection of my hollow face in the window. Every memory of Michael working on it suddenly felt tainted, threaded with deceit. And yet, beneath all that fury, something else stirred, a strange, broken understanding. He had loved me. I didn't doubt that. But he had loved her too. Maybe love isn't always clean. Maybe sometimes it rots in secret, buried under years of silence. That night, Jason came home to find me sitting at the kitchen table again. The letter lay between us. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. The guilt in his eyes told me he already knew I'd found it. You should have told me, I said quietly. I wanted to, he said, voice low. But Dad begged me not to. He said it would destroy you. I looked at him for a long time, my son. Our son, the product of a life built on half-truths. And what about you? What did it do to you? He looked away. I hated him for it. But I couldn't hate him enough to break his last promise. A tear slipped down my cheek. You sold it to her. He nodded. She was going to lose everything, Mom. The lease on her shop, her apartment. Dad's money never reached her because of some legal mess. I thought if I gave her the car maybe it would make things right. I'm sorry. I wanted to scream. To tell him nothing could make it right. But when I looked at him, so much of his father in his face, I couldn't. He'd been trying to untangle a web his father had spun long before he was born. Instead, I whispered, Do you hate him? Jason's voice cracked. Every day. And I miss him just as much. The truth of that undid me. 'Cause I felt the same. A week later, Melissa called. She said she was leaving town. That she was done with the past. I met her one last time by the storage unit. The car gleamed in the fading sunlight, beautiful and hollow. I'm giving it back, she said. And blinked. What? She smiled sadly. It doesn't belong to either of us anymore. It belongs to what he was. And maybe it's time to let that go. She pressed the keys into my hand and walked away. I watched her go, feeling an ache that wasn't quite anger anymore. Just sorrow for all of us. When I slid into the driver's seat, the leather creaked softly beneath me. I ran my hand along the steering wheel, feeling the grooves his fingers had worn over the years. The engine turned over, smooth and steady. The sound filled the air like a ghost returning home. As I drove through the quiet streets, the wind tangled my hair and the horizon blurred through my tears. For the first time, I didn't feel the car as a monument to loss, but as a confession. Truth. Michael had loved imperfectly, recklessly. But he had loved. And somehow, in that ruin of betrayal, so had I. When I pulled back into the driveway, Jason was waiting. He looked at the car, then at me. I thought you'd hate it. I shook my head. I did. But maybe it's not about hating it. Maybe it's about finally understanding what it really meant. He smiled faintly, eyes glistening. What are you going to do with it? I looked toward the garage, the same space that had once been filled with silence and ghosts, and said softly, Drive it. For both of them. And then, let it go. The night wind brushed against my face, carrying the faintest trace of gasoline and memory. And as the garage door closed behind us, I realized something I'd never said out loud before. Betrayal doesn't always end with hate. Sometimes it ends with a heartbeat, a letter, and a car that keeps running long after the people who built it are gone.